Welcome to another episode of the Born to Create podcast, where we talk all things creative, business, mindset, and health and wellness. Don't put us in a box because we were born to create, and so were you. I'm your co-host, KL Jones, and my brother here.
Anthony Rudolph. That was a good intro.
Thank you.
That was a good
You
intro.
know, I had to put my, host hat on.
So the job is yours every week, just so you know. I think I said that on our last episode.
You have, and that's up for debate.
And I'm like,
Because I'm not going to do the intro and the outro, bro. No.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
We'll
but
We'll see.
nonetheless, we like to have fun here, as you can see, but we also like to dig into topics that mean something to you, that are important to you, and topics that are important to help you grow and scale your brand and business. So today we are talking about the state of influencer marketing and the creator economy. We coming in heavy. This is something that is at the tops.
Hot.
Yeah, coming in hot. It's tops. Yes. It's at the top of mind for a lot of creators, a lot of influencers, a lot of business owners, because things are changing rapidly. Platforms are changing rapidly with the introduction of YouTube specifically having a channel for podcast creators. You have companies that are no longer looking at numbers, so to speak, in terms of followers and how they determine who they're going to work with. So micro influencers are winning a lot. Yeah. And so we're going to dig into all of that. But before we do, we want to ask you a favor. We want you to like and share this show. We also want you to subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our podcast, whether you're watching on our YouTube channel, on the Born to Create channel, or you're listening on your favorite audio or podcast platform. We appreciate you being here and joining us on this journey, tuning in every week to every episode to hear from us. We want to hear from you as well. We want to know what topics you'd like for us to cover. We want all of that. This is a community. This is not just about Anthony and I being here week after week in front of the camera or on the mic and sharing stories and content.
And you guys should also put in the comments who should do the intro every single week. You should vote, me or L. So, and whoever wins, which is going to be you.
Well, you got to give them something to vote on. Let us know in the comments.
That's me. That's me.
It's all good. It's a family thing here. So let's get into it.
So that topic is interesting.
Why?
It's interesting because when you brought up the power of micro-influencers, right? I was talking to a friend just yesterday, and he was comparing football to football, like American football to the World Cup, like soccer as we call it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And he was saying that the World Cup soccer has about 5 times more people, more fans, a bigger audience, right? But American football, with a small audience, makes more money.
Yep.
Right. So the old mentality is that you need 1 million followers, like following equates money, is really not true.
No,
right?
Not at all.
You can have this massive audience, these massive people who follow you, but someone smaller can actually make more money than you. And that to me was interesting, because people think that you need a massive amount of following. And I'm noticing that a lot of these big companies are targeting more of the micro-influencers, people that have 2,000 to 10,000 followers. That's it. And they're making 6 figures.
Do you know why that is?
So I'm gonna give you my guess and take, and then you let me know if it's right. So if I look at someone who has 1 million followers, right, or 2 or 3 million, for any account, it's about engagement.
Yeah.
How many likes, shares, comments you get on your post, right? And most people with a lot of followers, they get emojis, they get hearts, they get hands up, they get, and to me, that's not really a true engagement.
No.
Right? So a micro-influencer can actually get someone commenting, "Hey, I love that dress. I love that picture. Where is our product?" So I think it's based on the engagement. So I think larger accounts that are just there for show, they don't get the engagement that the smaller accounts get, and that's why I think they get paid more. So that's my perspective.
No,
What you got?
and you're on, and I'll add to that. The other thing is there is a difference in what we're seeing in terms of content creators today,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have those that are what I like to call the aesthetic influencers. They have aesthetic accounts. They post a picture of themselves or a reel where it's just showing them in the latest design or whatever it
Yeah.
is,
So
and it's
I was looking for a word. You said aesthetic. I'm thinking half naked, so I didn't say it. But that's what I was thinking. I'm like, should I say half naked? But I like the word aesthetic.
it's aesthetic,
Yeah.
but that doesn't
Half
mean
naked.
half naked. Anthony, get
Half
your mind out
naked.
the gutter. Y'all see what I got to deal with. So, but no, when I say aesthetics, I'm talking about a luxury lifestyle. There's this particular type of lifestyle that they present, whether it's a an accurate or authentic depiction
Right.
of their lifestyle. I don't know. I'm not even getting into that conversation today, or at least not right now. But that's what most people are thinking influencing is having these big though they think there are some creators who have smaller accounts
Yeah.
who think that only those types of creators are going to be the ones who win, are going to be the ones who close brand deals and have
Gotcha.
partnerships
Gotcha.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
have all of this celebrity. But the reality is just sharing something that's aesthetically pleasing in and of itself, it's not an issue. But if that is your brand and that's all you have to stand on,
Okay.
you have to, in my opinion, especially as people are evolving more, we are, whether people agree with it or not, economically, we're in a different place than we were, maybe even 5 years ago. So people are becoming more discerning with how they spend their disposable income.
Right.
They're becoming more discerning with how they spend their time. Who, when they're on social media, who are they giving their time to?
Right.
So you have to be delivering some type or providing some type of value to get people to keep coming back, whether that's people that are coming to your accounts and they're engaging with your content, or it's corporations and brands that are looking online for that next influencer, if you will, or creator that they can link arms with and partner up to help create brand awareness around their business, their product, whether it's a new product, service, whatever that is, right? Whatever their goals are. And so I think as a content creator, when we talk about how the creator economy is changing and the state of it, you are going to have to do more work. That doesn't mean that you have to be slaving. I'm all about effortless content. I just, recently posted one of my most recent reels where I said, around here, it's the elevated woman lifestyle. And over here, we're all about effortless style and content creation. And for me, you can call it like the lazy creator. We've heard that term before. But I love that I don't always have to be filming and editing video and creating reels that way. Instagram and maybe TikTok. I'm still figuring my way around TikTok, but Instagram has just been my jam since
Yeah.
2013,
Yeah.
and I've evolved with every iteration of the platform. But there's this audio that's trending right now, and we've heard different iterations of it, but it's basically like, I'm just going to post a picture as a reel. Well, that's how it started, and
Yeah.
now it's
Yeah.
evolved. And this particular audio is like, I'm fly, and I'm gonna post a picture as a reel. So I'm all about taking advantage of opportunities to create content effortlessly.
Okay.
But effortlessly doesn't mean that it doesn't require work.
Gotcha.
And I think that's why people have to be careful. One, you got to understand what your niche is. Who's your audience? Who are you talking to? I remember kind of being at a plateau of around 3,000 to 3,500 followers for years. And I was getting frustrated because I was like, I'm creating content. And we've had this, discussion in a previous episode, but I was, creating content and I felt it was valuable. I had people commenting and sharing
Yeah.
with me that it was valuable, but it just didn't seem to gain the traction that I felt like other creators on the platform were. So I had to start studying and
Yeah.
learning the game, and then I got into it. And then thanks to, the explosion of Clubhouse when it was really a big thing, then that pushed my follower count up and my engagement, which leads me to what, part of what we're talking about with podcasting is audio is never going to die.
Right.
And there's different types of content. I think when people think about being a content creator, they only think of one or two things.
Right.
It's being on YouTube and or
Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok, and those are great ways and platforms to distribute your content, but content creation is so much more than that. And the creator economy with the explosion of podcasting and all of that, you really got to look at who are you talking to? What type of value can you provide? That's going to make the difference. And that is what brands are looking for. So, being a
Yeah.
former corporate executive who worked in branding, marketing, and advertising, I can tell you firsthand numbers used to be a thing, but it's more about out of those numbers, how many folks are actively
Right.
engaging with your content.
Exactly.
How are you influencing them? Are they just engaging with your content, or are you influencing them to take the next step in whatever your journey is with that content? So I know that was a long-winded response, but I felt like we needed to kind of frame
Yeah.
some things before we dig deeper into the conversation.
I think that was pretty deep. That was pretty deep. Yeah. So as far as following, so in the marketing world, they tell you that all you need is 1,000 raving fans, and then that creates a seven-figure income, right? And if you have those fans, they will buy any and everything that you have. And I think a lot of companies are realizing that,
Yeah.
right? Is that we just need a small influencer that has these raving fans who will listen to everything that they say, because it's an influence, right? And everybody's influencer in a certain sense, but when it comes to companies like BB, or companies like what's that online clothing line, Fashion Nova,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're opting for the smaller scale influencers because of the market pool that they have, right? It's because that they're doing more than just I mean, they're still attractive, but they're doing more than just showing their body and their face. They actually have a message,
Yeah.
right? And I think your message really hones your audience, and value is at the mercy of the actual beholder, right?
Yeah.
Because value for everybody is different. And well, how do you determine if what I'm saying is valuable?
Yeah.
Well, you find out who your audience is, because your audience will speak the same language, right? And then if you're just putting content out there just for the sake of doing it, then more likely it won't stick,
Right.
It won't create value. But if you say, you know what, my audience is married females, ages of 25 and 35, and they have corporate job, whatever it is, and that's your message, that's who you're messaging to, then that content will be valuable to them.
I think even it has to go deeper than that now, because
Right.
again, people are discerning. So that's just like scratching the
Right.
surface with, anybody in business and in marketing knows that's like creating an avatar, right?
Right.
But you've got to get to like, who is this person?
Right.
Like, what conversations are they having online? What are they showing interest in? What type of content are they liking on social media? And it requires you can't, no, you no longer have the freedom or luxury to just create content and feel like it's going to resonate with the people who need to see it, right? You have to be having conversations with people. One of my business partner, Courtney Adelaide, one of the things that she does for our Overly business is she will have conversations with our community, with the folks. And if she's doing an Instagram live, or, she's sharing stuff with them, but then she asks questions. And it's not just asking questions, but it's the type of questions that you're asking. And what I've seen time and time again when she does that is a lot of the responses that she gets, when they're, repeated responses, they actually inform product development for the
Right. Of
business.
course.
So now you're not just creating, but you're creating with intention because you've taken the time to speak with your audience, get to know your community, have conversations with them. It's not a one sided
Right.
conversation where the only time you're talking to them is because you're trying to prime them to
Right.
buy,
Exactly.
but really, like, what is it that you want? What do you need? And figuring out what you have available to you that you can actually create a solution to. So I think that's the direction that brands are moving toward now, as it relates to influencer marketing and just the creator economy. Is what solution do you provide?
Right.
And how can we work together? How can we partner together to make a bigger impact
Right.
in solving that problem?
That's true. I mean, impact is huge, and impact. I mean, just look at the power of media, and I
Yeah.
think people underestimate how powerful the
Mm-hmm.
media is, and then how profitable it is as well, right? And even on a small scale, small scale people or companies or influencers or small media companies, they're doing very very well,
Yeah.
and everything you see around you is all dictated by media.
Absolutely.
Everything. I took my kids to Vegas to watch WWE SmackDown,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we watched the show. Show was amazing. As we were leaving, the show was over. There was this long line, right? And I'm like, the show is over. Why is everybody going this line? So I asked somebody, well, we're in line to buy merchandise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this line was like at least a quarter mile long. It's very long. And it clicked. It's like I always knew media was powerful and profitable, but just seeing that
Mm-hmm.
kind of reignited or reminded me of how powerful media is, how powerful TV is, how powerful radio is.
Mm-hmm.
Words and blogs and podcasts and short films. I mean, it's all very very powerful. And if you make people laugh, make them cry, you got them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what these companies are looking for and pouring so much cash into because they want that person, that influencer, to have this emotional pull on their audience,
Yeah.
right? Make them cry, make them laugh, or make them look beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I really love how micro influencers are really standing up and standing out, and really I don't even know if they know they don't need X amount of followers. I'm not sure if people even know that now.
There are experts and coaches and consultants who have programs that are centered, and
Yeah,
their language and messaging to their audience is that you don't need to have tens of thousands or millions of
yeah,
followers to be considered an influencer now. So that is happening, but I want to go back to what you were talking about with media because there used to be a time where we felt like, or most people felt like, media was only reserved for celebrities.
mm,
Now we're starting to see a lot of creators step into more celebrity roles. Some of
right,
them are getting, cast in different projects, whether it's
mm,
TV shows or films, and that has kind of become the norm now, which again is a representation, at least in my opinion, about the creator economy. It's like you can go from being a personality on social media to actually stepping into more of a celebrity role
right,
where you're booking jobs. And if that's your thing, right, we see it all the time. But brands even recognize the power of media. So you have some brands that have their own podcast,
yeah,
right? You have some brands that have their own documentary films or short films, or they've created personas, personalities. I think about Flo with Progressive
yeah, yeah,
Insurance, right? Or
yeah,
Jake from State Farm. The awards that I won for, the two most recent awards that I won for TV and film production, I won in a category sitting alongside T-Mobile and
oh wow,
State Farm. Yes, there was Disney and ESPN films there, but there were like everyday brands like Coca-Cola. So brands absolutely understand the value of media and they're pouring a lot of dollars into that. So if you are a creator or you identify as being a creator, this is a perfect opportunity for you to really tap into, where you can be really more intentional about the type of content that
yeah,
you're creating, and how you're distributing it. And we can get into maybe a little bit, but this would be for another episode for sure, talking about ownership and
Yeah.
distribution, having a multi-channel distribution strategy, and not just relying on one strategy, but it requires you to think like a CEO.
Right.
And I think sometimes, and it's to no fault of their own, a lot of people are not taught how to be business owners.
True.
They have a desire and a passion, or they love creating, and then they step into it in that way. So we have to continue having these kinds of conversations, because
Yeah.
I feel like it helped, we all learn something from one another, and we can all contribute to the greater good of influencer marketing and the creator economy, because there's more than enough room for us out here.
Right.
Now, with that said,
What you got?
because I'm bringing raw. There's also the ugly side to influencer marketing,
Okay.
and more specifically, being an influencer, right? So let's touch a little bit on how, or a lot, depending on how this goes.
Okay. I'm intrigued now. I have no idea where this is going, but let's go.
Well, I am a research nut. I study. I'm like a sponge. I absorb information, and then I have my process of how I filter through all of that. But I study human behavior
Okay.
a lot. Shout out poli-sci major. So that was one of the things that we had to do, because I was going to be an attorney, and we
Gotcha,
needed
okay.
to understand human behavior. But there's this idea that some folks who are influencers, they have that, they don't need to respond to folk. They because they've now reached a certain
Oh.
level or status.
Yeah.
There's this idea that I don't have the time to engage with you the way that I used to before, when I needed you, right? And that's not what they're saying, but
Yeah.
that's what a lot
That's
of
the
people
pers-
feel. That's
yeah.
the perception.
That's the experience people get
That's
when
the yes.
okay.
And we all know that your intention is one thing, but how people feel is differently. And you can't control how people feel. You can have the best laid intentions, and always want to move with a spirit of service and heart and kindness.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be someone who doesn't feel like they've gotten everything
Right.
from you that they think they
Right.
deserve to get. So it's this, double-edged sword of, with elevation comes responsibility,
True.
but how much access do people deserve to have to you as an influencer, as a celebrity? And that's been a long-standing, debate for years, where celebrities are concerned, is because we're all human,
Right.
and people deserve to have their space and their privacy. But I've been seeing conversations and hearing about, people's frustrations about some influencers that just feel like this is what it is, and I'm going to give you what I'm going to give you. Do we have a responsibility to,
Yes. 100%.
okay, and what is that responsibility, you
So
feel like?
the responsibility is to communicate. Right.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that causes breakdowns is withheld communication. People don't speak. They assume that people know. They assume that they can read our minds, right?
Yeah.
So when you withhold communication, you're not really telling people how you feel, right? So they're left to assume that you don't like them, or you do, or whatever. So celebrities and influencers have a responsibility to communicate what their intentions are, what they want to their fans, to their customers. Like, okay, you know what, guys, I'm open to autographs, but if you see me like on the street with my family or my kids, give me some space. It's not that I don't want to sign it. It's that I may be having a bad day, a bad moment, so just give me some space. I don't see a lot of people saying that. They just assume that they should know that I'm tired. They should know that I'm with my family. They should know that I'm upset. No, we shouldn't, right? We only know what you tell us. And it also depends on how you look at it. Some people look at it as, oh, you know what? They're bothering me, right? Some look at it as, oh, they love me, right? So it's based on your perception of of yourself and of that fan. So, but I believe that it's the intention that you set. Gary Vee, for example, right? He says he responds to every single message himself,
Mm-hmm.
even at his current level,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he wants to. He knows that the people that are DMing him, that are buying stuff, they're the ones who got them there. They're the ones who helped them get to that level, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
the ones who spent their money and told their girlfriend, told their boyfriend, told their cousin. They were the advertising piece for him.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that's in your influence, anybody that loves your celebrity, it's important for that fan to give you space, but it's also important for that influencer or actor to express and say these are my boundaries, because I believe they need boundaries, that they
Absolutely.
need privacy because they're human.
Yeah.
They have frustrations, they get upset, they get overwhelmed. But just like when two friends, it's like, you're your husband. It's like, you have to communicate how you're feeling so that person is not left to assume, oh, you know what, they don't like me. I've done so much for that person. I've watched all their movies, bought all their songs. I've liked every single post, and they're dissing me. It may not be that, right?
Yeah, because access is subjective, right?
Right.
Like I was just having this conversation recently in a personal relationship where, you know, just because you're good at a thing or you're known for a thing doesn't mean that people should have access to you in
Right.
that thing all of
All the
the
time. Yeah,
time.
they should not. Yeah.
There definitely has to be boundaries, and people have to understand, like,
Right.
I'm putting up a boundary, and the boundary is about protecting me.
Right.
It's about protecting my mental health, my well-being. It's not about me not wanting to help you. It's not
Right.
about me feeling like I'm better than
Yeah.
you. It's not about, like you said, I'm dissing you,
Yeah.
like I have a personal issue
Yeah.
with you. So that's why I said it's this double-edged sword, and we've got to have more conversations, because I've seen both sides of the conversation coin
Yeah.
of, oh, this person thinks that they're better than ever, now they're up
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
they act like they don't need people, and I remember when they didn't have so and so, and then it's the other side of that. And it's just like, people are human at the end of
Right.
the day, but again, with elevation comes great responsibility. So before you step into this world
Right.
of, or dive deeper into the world of influencing, being an influencer, being a creator, there are things that you actually will have to sacrifice.
Yeah. A lot.
Does it feel fair? It's a part of the
Yeah.
process. If you become a politician, there are certain things that you're going to have to give up or sacrifice, or you're going to have to move and navigate differently. If you become a doctor, you can't, on your off time be
Yeah.
going out drinking and getting behind the wheel. Same thing as an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go out and rob a bank now. Like, there, with every role or position that we play, there are going to be some things
Right.
that we have to give up, and there's going to be a standard
Right.
that we have to uphold and live up to. I hate to say in
Yeah.
those words, but that's the reality of it. So
Yeah, and you touched something. I mean, protecting your mental health is huge, right? It's huge, and on certain levels, it becomes it becomes hard to do because you have so much responsibility. But then it's it's hard to do because you want to give in to your desires, right? Give in to, maybe I should, not be with my family and do my DMs, or maybe I should take this photo shoot, and miss my daughter's track meet. So it's a lot. It's more responsibility,
yeah.
and you have to really hold yourself at a higher level and be more accountable to what you really want, and stick to that. Because at the end of the day, if you crumble and break down, have a nervous breakdown, go crazy, then everything you work for crumbles. Because just as faster than you rose to your fame, that breakdown will be up there even faster for the whole world to see.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take care of your mind, body, and soul. But again, you have to communicate that to your fan base. And I believe that communication is the key to all success. So if you do that, then most of them will understand. There will still be those jerks out there who like I don't care what you're going through, and
Mm-hmm.
but it will happen. But for the most part, your fan base will understand what you're going through and how you communicate to them, and they will be honored because you're talking to them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm here because of you, but just know that certain times I need a break. Um, but yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, no, and people crave connection, they crave
Hmm.
conversation, they crave community. And if you can provide those things, that in and of itself is
Yeah,
valuable.
yeah.
And I think people will understand.
Hmm.
Like, we are all human. No one wants to feel like they're living in a fishbowl or
Right.
be under the lens or easily, accessible 24/7.
Right.
That's just not even natural. Going back to like the business of influencer marketing
Okay.
and some of the trends that we're seeing, and that we'll continue to see throughout the year and the years to come. The influencer marketing industry is projected to be an
Wow.
$80 billion industry
Wow.
by 2026.
Wow. I didn't know that. It's amazing. 80 billion,
80
and that's
billion.
all come from companies, advertisers.
Yeah,
Wow.
and
Okay.
it's a good mix. And I'll have to remember where I saw it because I believe in sourcing. So we'll make
Okay.
sure we put it in the description and in the transcript so you can take a look at it. But um, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
So how do you tap into that? And when we go back to that conversation of ownership,
Mm.
partnership, collaborative partnerships, that's
Yeah.
that's my sweet spot. Like I love it. Like we're
Yeah.
collaborating on this podcast. I love collaborating, but you should always make sure that you have something for yourself. And I
Mm.
teach and preach personal branding
Mm.
all the time. So when brands, as a brand owner,
Mm.
but also as someone who's considered an influencer, like I get to see both sides of the spectrum. And, there are brands who might be at their infancy stage. They might be startups where they really want to partner with an influencer. How you present a partnership to those people matter.
Yeah.
So I've
Sure.
gotten emails, all I get them all the time. Some of them are paid partnerships. Some of them are like, can you do a 15-second video? But this
Yeah.
product that we want to give you is this. And you have to weigh the value of that
Yeah.
thing. Is
Yeah.
it worth your time? Because as a creator, creating content can be a full-time job,
Yeah.
and you're adding that on
Yeah.
to whatever else you're doing. So even like us, we have producers, we have editors, we have,
Yeah.
a team that handles post production, we have a team that handles production.
Yeah.
Shout out to my son, by the way,
Shout out
over there in the
DJ.
in the in the director's chair in the producer bay, helping to produce this show today. But it takes a lot, and brands have to understand
Yeah.
that, just in the same way that it takes you a lot to develop a product
Yeah.
or a service, it takes creators a lot to produce content to present to their audience to help support
Yeah.
your brand. So as a brand owner, as a business, just keeping those things in
Yeah.
mind and not being stingy with what you're offering. Now, there are going to be times when maybe it makes more sense for you from a business standpoint to go ahead and say, hey, I don't have any money on the front end to offer you.
Yeah.
We'll give you this product, but then making sure you're having conversations that are like, on the back end, this is what we're going to offer.
Right.
But just coming in saying, I'm going to give you this product for free for creating a 30-second
Yeah.
or a 2-minute video is not the business.
Right.
What's on the back end? Is there something long term? Is it a long term partnership, or are you trying to do a one off?
Yeah.
And most creators, especially micro influencers, I don't want them to fall into this trap of feeling like, oh, because a brand is showing interest in me, I gotta take it,
Right. Right.
even if it just means I'm getting free product.
Know your value.
Know your
Know your
value.
value. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Know your value.
Yep.
So it's been a long road getting here. I mean, actually hasn't been that long. The journey has been really compressed to where we came from to where we are now, because
Yeah.
all these platforms, like you said, YouTube, TikTok, even Spotify. Now Spotify just released a new platform where their platform is like TikTok now, so you can scroll up and see different podcasts.
Mm.
So these platforms are adjusting to what the consumer is asking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing as creators that we have to do. You have to adjust to what they ask for because your market will tell you exactly what they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to sit there. I mean, think tanks are really important, but the ultimate decision as far as what you're going to create comes from the market. They
Mm-hmm.
tell you what you want to hear. And just like when you're creating courses, right?
Yeah.
You make the offer, create the course, but you create the course based on what feedback you're getting from the people that you want to sell to,
Right.
right? So same thing in marketing. It's like you don't have to throw out a bunch of content. First, ask questions, listen,
Mm-hmm.
watch other content, take polls. You know,
Yep.
people will tell you exactly what they want. And when you do that, I think your content will be much better, more valuable, and you'll be more confident in creating more content because now you know that, hey, I put this video out and I got a good response.
Yeah.
I got good engagement. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people DM me. So great with the content comes great confidence, right?
Absolutely.
So keep producing.
Keep producing. And, that's the way that big businesses do it, like
Hmm.
multi-billion-dollar businesses. When I was an advertising executive, I worked, a lot of our clients were pharmaceutical clients, big, major pharma.
Big
And one
pharma.
big pharma. And one of the things that we would do, it was part of our process, was before we launched any type of creative or advertising campaigns, we would have focus groups.
Oh yeah.
So, what's the product? What was our
Yep.
client's
Yep.
product? And we would be responsible for curating these focus groups and getting these folks. Sometimes it would be a full day, and we would
Wow.
have them, create this experience or environment where they could experience the product. We would ask them specific questions, and obviously, these folks that were a part of the focus
Yeah.
groups had to be the ideal customer for said
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
And then we would take the data from those focus groups and we would go back,
Yep.
all of that tied into the creative.
Yep.
So before any AstraZeneca commercial or GSK commercial, like they are having focus
Yeah.
groups to make sure that when they put all their dollars into creating content and ads and running these ad spots, they're making sure that they're maximizing their dollars as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so that's how I even create content. I have a reel that went viral last year, and it was funny because I had posted the same content
Mm-hmm.
as just a static post, right,
Okay.
with a
Uh-huh.
picture. And it performed, okay. It was not bad, but it
Yeah.
was just like, okay. And then I posted it again as a reel and added just a few little tweaks to it. And that performed, okay. And I said, man, I know that this is valuable content. So I had to go back to what I know
Yeah.
as a former advertising executive. It was like, what are people always in my DMs asking me about? What are people always
Wow.
hitting me up in
Right.
my comments about? Like, I need to, or, when I'm having these consultation calls and they're like, well, I want to do this. And how do you? So I tweaked it again.
Yeah.
You hear me? Three
3 times.
times. I tweaked it again. That third time, that post went viral. I didn't even know that it was going viral. I was actually at a film festival, and one of my girlfriends was like, "L, look!" She pulled it up, and she was like, "Look at your reel! Look at your reel!" And in real time, we were watching not just the likes, the numbers going up, but the comments, the saves, the shares,
Wow.
people coming back, and it's standing at 182,000 views right
That's
now.
crazy. Focus groups.
Focus groups, because I was like, hold up. I know what I have is good. I know it's going to
Yeah.
solve a problem. Let me go back to the drawing board again. And each time I went back to the drawing board, I came back with something new.
Yeah.
And that third time was the charm. Now, what if I would have gotten frustrated and just been like, man, forget it?
Yeah.
Because we do that sometimes.
We do a
It
lot.
being a creator can take a lot out of you.
Does.
And when what did Erica
Does.
Badu say? I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my. It is true.
Right.
It's true. So yeah, we have this attachment to what we create,
Mm-hmm.
but we've got to be able to take a step back and look at things through a different lens
Mm-hmm.
if longevity and impact is the goal.
So you did focus groups. So
Yeah.
your company probably fed me for about a year
Mm.
because focus groups
Shout out GSW.
used to be my meal ticket in the early days. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would get phone calls. I got a group. Yeah, I would do it. I mean, I did a focus group probably every week for like 2 years. I
Really?
wasn't supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
right? But and I'm speaking on them different than you are, but I just reminded me like I used to eat at focus groups.
Yeah.
250 a pop for focus group.
And it's still like people are creating whole side hustles today in
Really? I need to
2023
go back to focus groups.
doing focus
Make you
groups
some side money or
because
something.
brands need that insight. That's why they have apps that are survey
Yeah.
apps. You have
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, but there's a platform and we'll put it in the description box, but even Google has something it's
Really?
like Google Ask or something like that.
Okay.
I have the app on my phone. I have to show it to you
Okay.
later, but
Okay.
that brands are paying big dollars to
Wow.
learn what their audience needs and wants
Yeah.
and how they can fill the gap. So if big brands are doing
Yeah.
that,
You
as
should
a
do it.
creator, you've got to figure out how
Yeah.
you can do that even if it's on a smaller scale.
All you gotta do is a poll on your Facebook or your IG. Is do a poll. Do you like A, B, or C?
And mix up your content.
Mix
Do
up your
A/B
content.
testing. Don't
Right.
just do stories. Go live. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Whatever platforms you're on and utilizing, use them.
Use them.
Like use them. You don't have the luxury of not getting on camera anymore. Yeah, there's certain types of content that you can create that doesn't require you to be on camera. But again, let's go back to the principles of personal branding. People crave what? Connection, conversation, and community.
Yeah.
So your personal brand allows you to create those, meet the needs in each of those areas and create this experience for your audience. Get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
The more you do a thing, the better
Yeah.
you become at it.
People want to see you, and most importantly, they need to, because there is so much noise right now in social media, in marketing. We see thousands upon thousands of different forms of advertisement every single day.
Yeah.
So those people are fighting for our attention. So if you truly want your brand, your face, your voice, your product, your brand to be seen and noticed, you have to step out there and think and do and work out of the box.
Yeah.
Create video. You think that I want to create video all the time? I don't. I get lazy. I get tired. I get frustrated, but I know that I have a job to do.
Yeah.
I have a service supervisor, right? This is my job.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you probably go through the same thing. It's like those days you just like, I just don't feel like it. But can you do that if you had a regular 9 to 5 job? Well, I just don't feel like it. Well, you could, but you probably get fired.
You will
Right.
probably get
Probably
fired.
get fired.
And you're still going to have the same responsibilities. You
Right.
still have a family to take care of. You
Right.
still have a home to take care of.
Right.
You still have parents to take care of.
Right.
Like we are not monolithic beings. You'll hear me say
Right.
that all the time. We're multidimensional. So you've got to just figure out what works for you.
Right.
But to your point earlier, it's not just about creating the content. I think part of what can be daunting or feel daunting and frustrating for some folks is they don't know where to start. And having a clear message is going to be super important. And in order to have a clear message, you got to be clear on what your story is.
Right.
So we always have a gift for our listeners and our viewers. There'll be a link for you to grab the Brand Story Profit Guide. That will help you to really uncover what your story is. There's examples of how big brands have leveraged storytelling to grow and scale and attract new customers as well as
I like
retain.
customers better.
No customers.
I like that.
You
better.
always want to try me.
I like customers
I'm all
better.
about authenticity, but Lord, this man just want me to just so customers, but also what's the word I'm looking for?
Customers.
Not customers. Shoot, you threw me off.
Oh.
Acquiring and keeping your customers, retaining,
Retaining.
retention. Lord Jesus, it's that. Yeah,
Just so you know, this let me edit it out.
you're gonna edit
This
this
is
part
not
out.
me edited
Oh
out.
my
We're gonna
gosh,
go with
he is
customers
always
for this episode.
whatever. Customers. You need to have a strong acquisition and retention strategy in
Yes.
place. And one of the surefire ways to do that is to be really, really clear on your story. And your story is always going to drive your messaging.
I love it.
Even if your messaging changes, your story will be the catalyst, the main driver for your messaging.
Yes.
And your messaging will lay the foundation for the types of content that you create. So even when you are feeling tapped out, because let's face it, we all are going to
Yeah.
experience those moments where we are just burnt out, tapped out. But your messaging, which is again driven by your story, will bring you back to your why. Why are you doing this? Who are you doing it for? What would happen if you don't do this?
Facts.
And not just, I'm not just talking about, oh, I'll lose income or I won't make money, but what would happen to the people that you've been called to serve?
Then you lose who you are. It's like
Yeah.
it's like we're people of we need. What's the word? What's the word that Tony Robbins always say? We need.
By
Dang
the
it.
way, we keeping this in too.
Yeah, we are. What's that word? Significance.
There you go.
We need significance. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're not being significant, I mean, it's like we're not fulfilling our place in this world,
Yeah.
right? And if you're not doing what you were created to do, you're not fulfilled. So even though yes, it's the customers, it's the income, but it's really about how you feel and if you're living up to your potential or doing what you want to do in this life.
Yeah.
And too many people walk around here and they let's around. Where are the most dreams and desires and goals? Where are they? They're all in the
The
graveyard.
graveyard, yeah.
Right? Because people don't live up to their potential or don't believe that they can achieve the goals they want to achieve. So even though it's the income, it's your audience, but what about you and you being fulfilled,
Yeah.
right? So for me, it's about fulfillment and feeling significant. Like I did something. I gave a positive. I was a positive part of this world. I helped carve my little footprint in this world. Where you know what, everything that we're doing here, this is documented. So
Yeah.
our
It'll
kids,
be
our
here
kids,
for
your son can show it to his kids and then
Yeah.
his kids, right? This is documented stuff, and it's like, why would we not do it? Because a friend of mine told me the only reason I create content is for my kids and my grandkids, my grandkids to see me.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I do it. I mean, and that's for him that's significance.
And that hits home, like being the ones who are left behind
Right.
when someone leaves. One of our close friends, we have a mutual friend, Shamika.
Yeah.
And she and I have a mutual close friend that we sadly lost earlier
Oh,
this
I know
year.
that. Okay. Wow.
And when she called to tell me, I lost my breath.
Yeah.
Our friend was only 35.
Jeez.
And I had really been struggling with, even still today, her passing.
Yeah.
Not just because, like, it was just like she was young, but she was fully living in like this next stage of her life,
Yeah.
her calling. And I remember, having a conversation with Shamika, and I just was like, I can't seem to get it together behind this one. It really messed me up. And she said something so powerful, which lends to what you just said. And she said, our friend Gabrielle, she said, Gabrielle, she was married and she has two young children. Gabrielle was killing it on TikTok.
Wow.
Gabrielle was creating content on every platform. Had tons of clients and fans and people who adored her work. She was unapologetic in how she showed up and how she took up space. And Shamik was like, but I know it's hard for us to wrap our minds around like why.
Yeah.
How could this happen? And at a time when it felt like she was taken off. And she said, but look what she left us with.
Love it.
that will be around. Her children will be
Hmm.
able to hold on to this. They'll be able to glean from
Yeah,
this and
yeah,
learn from it. But then their children will too. Her
yeah,
husband, her
yeah.
mother, her family, her friends. Like, she left us with a great gift.
That's
Like, it's
legacy.
still
Yeah,
really hard for me to accept that she's not here, especially like when I see her name
yeah,
pop up in my
yeah.
at, but it's like, man, she left us with so much.
Let me ask you this: if she didn't do that, right? If she didn't leave you with those lasting images and memories and content, I know you would still remember her, but
Hmm.
will it be as impactful as it is now? Like with your friend Gabrielle,
Hmm.
like with Chadwick Boseman, Nipsey Hussle, Tupac, everybody that was taken way too soon,
Hmm.
right? I know they live on is because we have their prolific work. We
Yeah.
have the music, we have the movies, we have the content that we can play over and over and over again that reminds us. And my 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 aunt passed away, my grandfather passed away, I have friends who passed away, I've lost people in my life,
Hmm.
and I lost people who have never, my stepdad, people who have never created any type of content, so we lose track of their voice, of how
Hmm.
they sound,
Hmm.
and only thing we have of my stepdad is just his voicemail recording on his phone,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But if if people get into the notion that I'm going to create for the next generation, I'm going to create for memories, I'm going to create because I want to leave a lasting voice,
Hmm.
because people forget. They
And
do.
that's such a gift.
Such
What
a
you
gift.
don't know is, uh, well, at the time that you all will see this, the day will have passed. But today is my dad's birthday.
Oh, wow.
And my dad has been gone for 32 years.
Happy heavenly birthday to your dad. 32 years. Wow.
And he was 32 when he was murdered.
Wow. So this is a day for you.
This is a day for me. And I came into the studio
Yeah.
knowing that I
Yeah.
was like, okay, today's the day. But I felt good because
Yeah.
I'm like, we're coming in,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
doing what we love. It's impactful. But man, when we started talking about just the importance of creating something that lives beyond you, do
Yeah.
you know? And that was in the 80s
Wow.
when my dad was killed. Do you know what I would give to hear his voice
Yeah.
today? Even if it was just
I
on a
can I can
recording,
imagine.
or to see a video of
Yeah.
him, or to have some content be like, literally, because he was killed at such an early
Yeah.
age. And I say that, I know that's hard for
Yeah.
people to hear, but I always want to really drive home, like, when people make choices,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
it doesn't just affect you,
It does not.
it affects so many other people. So I'll always say, I don't say my dad died. My father was murdered. He was
Yeah.
taken away from
Yeah.
us. So I say that
Yeah.
with conviction
Yeah.
and intentionality. But the only content that I have of him are
Yeah.
pictures. And then I got to a point where, like, every year I'm always sharing on social media, and I'll do it again today.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday to my dad. Man, I wish,
Yeah.
I'm going through periods in my life where I wish, like, as a daughter, I could just, what would you tell me to
Yeah.
do in this situation? And I always post the same couple pictures because that's all I have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got pictures of him when he was a young man,
Yeah.
a little boy, younger than my son. I've got pictures of him when he was in the
Yeah.
military, when he was over in Vietnam. And then, maybe a couple other pictures where he wasn't, like, in the camera, but, he's a
Yeah.
very
Right.
artistic
Right.
dude, but, like, hand in the camera. He was very creative. But that's all that I have.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's the memory never
Right.
fades, but things become more and more distant.
Right.
And it's
The
like,
voice, the
the
feeling, the
voice, the
appearance.
feeling, the
Yeah.
smell,
Yeah.
the what would you say? Right?
Yeah.
So today is that day where, as a
Yeah.
creator, Man, I wish
Yeah.
that like that I had that. So just when you are creating, don't create just to become an influencer.
Yeah.
Don't create just to get the likes. Don't create for the fanfare
Yeah.
and the celebrity and all of that. I think those are all byproducts of that.
And that fades as well too. That's
It
temporary.
fades. It's very
Yeah.
temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, what's the impact and what am I leaving by creating? What am I leaving? Like my son, we talked about it. He's here today.
Yeah.
He knows when mom leaves. Usually he's at school,
Yeah.
when we're filming, but he's on spring break and he, much like when I was doing my docu series, he was producing
Yeah.
with me. He gets that
Yeah.
experience that hopefully will stay with him for a long time. But the added piece is mom is creating content that he'll be able to have if, God forbid,
Yeah.
my time here on earth has come to an end. My children will still
Yeah.
have a part of me that will live on, that won't fade.
Yeah. Won't fade.
Yeah. We didn't mean
Wow.
to get that deep,
Yeah.
but
Wow. Well,
that's
our podcast was never scripted,
no,
so
no.
it's always authentic and vulnerable, and
Yeah,
like whatever comes up, and what comes up is what needs to come up, right?
absolutely.
Because someone out there that's listening and watching, it's helping them, like it's helping us,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's always authentic. So I have fun on this one.
I always have fun.
I know.
Uh, I
Me
thought
too.
you was about to say maybe.
Yeah. You know, I always have
Look,
fun too. Yeah. It's always an experience.
yeah, this is fun, and again, we always want to make sure we're always intentional
Mm-hmm.
about producing content that is impactful, that provides value, and it's bigger than that. So, like you
Yeah.
said, our hope is that every week, every episode, every edition, that there's something that we've said and shared, whether it's
Yeah.
us or guests that we have coming on, that has really impacted you, caused you to pause and think, or shift some things, or build your confidence, whatever it is that you need in the moment that you come across our content. We always hope that it meets that need deeply.
Yes.
And he doesn't know this, but I'm just gonna say we gonna go take this show on the road
Oh,
at some
I
point.
knew that.
Like that. No,
Gonna do a
not at some
tour.
point. We
Gonna do a
gonna do
tour.
this year.
Yeah, do a tour.
So it's coming, but make sure that you all stay locked in. We've got some incredible things planned for you all.
Mm-hmm.
We have a private community that we are building for you all, where you're going to get exclusive
Yep.
content, behind the scenes content, unreleased content. We've got some pretty dope people that we know that we're
Yep.
going to have in the studio, whether it's physically or virtually, but also some events and things that we have planned. So, and we
A
want
lot
to
of
share that with
I
you.
was on cusp, but DJ's here, so well, you his mama, so
He ask him.
I
He
know.
don't.
I'm kidding. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
we got a whole lot planned, a whole lot
Yeah.
of goodies in. And if you're part of our community, we have even more planned for you, because we know that if you rock with us, we should gift you
Yeah.
and love on you, and just show you how much we appreciate everything, every single second that you spend, because you can be doing
Yeah.
anything else, but you choose to be listening while you're driving on a treadmill, lifting weights, or you're watching on your lunch break, or while you're working.
Yeah.
I won't tell. All right.
Yeah.
But
Because without y'all,
we
we just two
appreciate it.
people with a mic
We appreciate it.
and some cameras.
Some cameras.
All right. You want to send us out of here?
Yeah. So this episode was it was very, very inspiring for me. It really taught me a lot, right? And this is our goal. Our goal is to help ourselves and help you achieve all your goals, achieve all your dreams, and really our goal is to help you do that by telling stories and going through our experience in life and in business. So, if you found value in what you heard, what you watched, please like, share, and subscribe, and send to someone who needs to hear it, because I believe that we learn from each other, right?
Absolutely.
We learn from sharing, and we learn from engaging. So, anybody that you think can benefit from this episode, please share. And all the resources that we talked about will be down in the description when this episode airs. So thank you very much for watching the Burn Crate podcast, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place.
And don't forget, don't put us in a box because we were born to create, and so were you.
See you later.